Oh man, today sucks. Oh, okay. So sorry, I'm still on the old mic. I got the fancy new blue whatever microphone, and then it didn't come with the thing that screws in and holds the mic up. So I'm stuck on the old one for now. Sorry. Welcome to Houston with a Problem, and I have a mountain of them today. Um, man, I I, I had this whole brilliant plan that I was going to make a treasure hunt, and it was going to last months, and like drive traffic to the channel and bring us all sorts of new people to watch this stuff I do. And less than 48 hours of revealing the puzzle, the first clue. A dude hops on a plane from Mississippi, lands in Nevada, goes straight to it, and finds it. And treasure hunt is over. There's a $300,000 gamble that did not pay off. Oh crap! So, that's where I am. But I do have a light. There's a light now that's on my face. Hopefully that helps. New microphone did arrive. I just can't hook it up to anything. And yeah, here we are. My brain has been completely erased as to the things I was going to talk about today because I saw that email from the person who found the treasure, and my heart just kind of plunk fell out of me. So, bring mic closer. All right, maybe I can. Does that help? Bring mic closer. People always tell me how to work my microphone. So, I haven't had a chance to scroll through and see what people were saying before I even could log in. Um, yeah. Let's see here. What are some questions? Marissa Dobbinspec. I heard the Torch merge price would automatically start at $9. Don't know how much truth is that. I honestly don't know what the merger price will be. Some people are saying the merger price will be whatever the price of Torchlight is. Yesterday, metamaterials in the Canadian market hit $16, and I don't know what it was at today. I haven't had a chance to look at that yet. So I don't know what the price will be when it starts when the merger happens. The dividend still hasn't been quite announced yet. There were rumors earlier in the week it was going to be gigantic, but then people said they haven't actually sold their assets yet. What we'd be getting is this weird special stock that is good for one asset or something like that. So we're waiting to see. The special stock will be something that can't be counterfeited, and so the short hedge funds who shorted the stock won't be able to generate that special share that will be going out for like the IOU for the dividend. So I don't know. Well, we'll see if the short hedge funds can keep their heads above water. But if that special dividend is something ridiculous, over a couple of dollars, they probably owe billions in the PIL just for that. So, yeah. And then someone says the reverse repo is down. Reverse repo went down to 770 billion today, so somebody paid back. Interesting. Probably some banks are realizing that they need to get in there and get the bonds before the price spikes on them. Okay. Steve Morgan, how many bubbles are going to pop? I think all of them might pop at once, just to do cascade on down the line there. Yeah, so yeah, it's weird. If while I'm doing the show, anything pops up about the Torchlight dividend, put it in the chat so everyone can see, because I'm watching your little feed here and not necessarily the news at the moment. So okay. Oh, got a super chat here. Stefan Burnell, please reveal the exact location of the treasure. Exact. All right. So, in the treasure box, I included a note, And the note had, when you find this treasure, email me at this address with this exact phrase in the subject line. And that phrase was, found your booty, sucker, 42069. And so somebody definitely found it, because no one would have randomly messaged me that. I hid the treasure in Nevada at the ghost town of Belmont Steaks, Triple Crown, inside an abandoned oven range. And that's where the treasure was. I had hoped that it was going to take somebody a lot longer than 48 hours to find my treasure, and I was kind of banking on the traffic that this was going to generate. And you gotta hand it to him, man. That's a hell of a job. And ballsy. I mean, the dude hopped on a plane from Mississippi to Nevada, rented a car, and went right to it. I am in awe. I'm an absolute, just, man, what a champion. And absolutely just screwed me. So, well, Stefan, thank you for the $4.99. That makes up for a little bit of the giant loss that I'm facing right now. 20 years of collecting those gemstones, and poof, gone. Oh. All right, so Merrick Sanders would love to see you chat with Trade Spotting or Rocky Outcrop, man. Sure. I don't actually. Yeah. If they send me an email, it's like, hey, come chat. I will talk to anyone. I don't care. What else am I gonna do? My truck's broken. Can't go out in the wild. Gotta sit in front of the computer and chit chat with you guys until I get a new rig and I can finally do my geology work for the summer. Yeah. So I'll talk to anybody. Otherwise, I'm just walking the dog and sitting on the internet. Okay. Let's see here. Let's get to some more timely. Sundial 2023 call looked like a good idea. Soon will grow. Possible. That's from Harry Borchers. People that had calls on Virgin Galactic today apparently are all millionaires. That went up like 60,000% or something on some of those calls. Holy smokes. So, not everyone's a loser today like me. Some people won very huge, and there's a hair attached to my eyeball, my glasses that are just tickling my eye. So yeah, there's some winners out there today. Man, Space Stock, way to go. The gamma squeeze I thought was going to happen this week got totally hammered by short attacks. There was no gamma squeeze. I mean, they put 40 million AMC shares in the money, and there was no buying to get them. It was almost like all the shorts' attention was focused on Torchlight or something, and I think there's letting everything go FTD or something. There was not the volume one would expect having that many shares go in the money. 5129 Tiger Lily, Torch merger complete at 12:01 a.m. 6:28. Shorts are trapped. PR released. Oh, okay. Cool. Interesting. That's 28th is Monday. Today's the 25th, 26th. Yeah. So that's Sunday night into Monday, 12:01 a.m. is when the merger goes through. Interesting. So they have no more ability to trade that stock and move it before that merger is complete. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. All right. Where's another question? Oh, wait, there's another one. From Moo Poolin. It seems these are regulations. Seems these regulations have no teeth. What can we expect from GME and AMC going forward, in your opinion? Yeah, the regulations, I think, have teeth, but no one's willing to bite. I'm curious to see what the reaction is from regulators when this Torchlight, either dividends announced or that special share or whatever comes out, because there's in Webull and TD Ameritrade and Robinhood, a lot of people got announcements today that their Torchlight shares can't be found, that they aren't delivered. They're failures to deliver, and they don't know how to navigate the upcoming dividend if people don't have the shares that they purchased before the threshold. So these brokerages may be forced to margin call the short hedge funds because they brokerages won't be able to complete the necessary transactions without doing that. So I'd be really curious to see what the FTD numbers are in a couple weeks when those get released for this half of the month. Yeah, so these regulations, the whole point of them is to give more power to the regulators to force these bad actors to stop doing their bad acting. And you know, all the power of laws comes down to enforcement. If no one's willing to enforce the law, you can do whatever you want. If you can, you know, drive 1,000 miles an hour on the highway and no cop will ever bother pulling you over, then what's the point of the speed limit? It's one of those things. Like we need these regulators to be on top of their shit so that the market works the way it should. Right now, it's not working the way it should, and yeah, we're up shit creek if that's the problem. So yeah, Mupulin. Let's force these regulators to do their job. Is that my thing? Marcus Kelly. No question, dude, but put this towards more gemstones. Thank you, Marcus. I do have an idea for a second treasure hunt, and I will certainly make it brutal if you folks are on board with this idea. Because I'm tapped out. I got nothing to hide at the moment. I might have a couple of old first edition books, but those don't do well sitting out in the wild. If I were to do a Kickstarter, right? I do a Kickstarter for Find Houston's Booty Round 2. And I ask everybody to donate. And whatever's donated, I go to the bank, get that in cash, and put it into a duffel bag and hide it somewhere. And make it like a treasure hunt lottery. That everyone who donates money or whatever, they just go find it. Would that be something people would think is cool? I don't know. So that's... I'm gonna have to ponder on that and look at talk to a lawyer or something and see how legal that would be. But yeah, so maybe I'll be digging more gemstones. It might take me a while to amass enough to do a booty hunt. Otherwise, but thank you, Marcus. Donna Holder, little dancing gift. thank you, Donna. That's looks like a lemon that's dancing. It's a lemon dancer. Oh, all right. Let's find some more questions here. Oh, Robin Hood sent a message. Yes, the person talking about the message that went out that those preferred shares did not show up. Steve is on top of a SpongeBob meme. Yeah. Okay. Scroll to questions. Everyone's just cracking jokes. There's a question. Where's the question? I'm here. Fred Berger. I'm here for the Stonk Talk. Stonk Talk is for nerds. You guys are a bunch of nerds. Yeah. You guys are smarter than I gave you credit for, because I made that first puzzle for my treasure hunt as obtuse as possible. And yeah, you found it. You found it right off the bat. My goal was to be something that, like, 3 months down the line when someone found the treasure, you go back, read that first puzzle and go, oh yeah, that makes total sense. You know, you're all doing that. You're all like, yeah, it makes sense. Well, no wonder someone found it so quickly. Houston, you dumbass. I'm going to be just spiraling on this all day long. So if I keep bringing it up, it's the catharsis of the trauma that my treasure was found so quickly. My tiny keto life. Who was the writer who had the treasure found recently? People look for years. That was Fenn's treasure. He was the import-export dude out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, and it took 10 years to find his treasure. It was exactly where my brother and I thought it was going to be. We just never had a chance to go to the Yellowstone and find it. yeah, his poem was way more exacting than mine was. How come it took 10 years to find his? People were like falling off cliffs and stuff looking for his treasure. And he's an 80. He was an 85-year-old man who like drove in a road and put it in the grass next to the end of the road because he's 85. So, man, oh, I'm just gonna be fuming on this for a while. Sorry, everyone. Oh, if my stalker had found this treasure, I'd have been so pissed. I'm so glad he didn't. He apparently made a whole Reddit about how there is no treasure and no one will ever find it, and I'm just a big fat liar. About 20 minutes before somebody found my treasure. All right. All right. Monkey Butt may have. She was whizzing all over the place there. She may have marked it. Where are some questions? A lot of people asking where's the dividend today. I mean, it's after close. I would assume that they would have announced the dividend either amount or what that weird share of IOU for dividend stock would be. So sometime today, if it pops up while I'm talking, post it here in the chat. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, here's a chat. Freddy Fredberger, to make up for your treasure hunt. Thank you. When I look into FAMI, I thought it was shorted to oblivion, but I can't find the real short data. Looked like a solid undervalued stock. I don't know enough about FAMI. Let's play a game of watch the host look at his phone. That sucker's really low. Let's well, it had a spike in February, like a lot of things that were shorted. I'll have to find the short data. If anyone has the FINRA short data, post that in there. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, I mean it looks like one of those meme stocks, so it might be anything that's like down to like 20-30 cents has to be shorted. I mean, no one makes a company public thinking I'm going to make a stock that's going to be a penny stock forever. That's not their idea. So I think we'll see lots of stocks that are cents, that are penny stocks, that will pop if and when this MOAS begins. Okay. All right, now I'm caught up to where I finally, right before I started here. No second clue, Stefan. It was found, man. I am absolutely just so mad. So mad that it was found that easily. I was hoping to milk this for weeks. Hubert Lee wishing me happy birthday again. All right. Let's see here. SM, I never got my torch dividend. Neither did I, SM. We're waiting for that thing to come out. YouTube really needs to fix how I scroll through this chat thing, because it is just, it like resets on me constantly. So I'll start reading something and then all of a sudden it just goes right back to the beginning. Mupulin again. What's your opinion on the share price of Torch this morning? This coming Monday and Tuesday. Do shorts need to cover before the 30th? I don't know what it's going to be. It's hard to say, because if the merger goes through at 12:01 Monday morning before open, then all that stock becomes metamaterial stock. And what the price of that is, I have no idea how they reconcile the price of metamaterial versus the price of Torchlight right now and make it one stock. Some people are saying that it's going to be at the Torchlight price, and then all those metamaterial stocks split into three. I had thought that it was 3 Torchlights to 1 metamaterial, and then I don't know. I guess we'll see. A big part of it's going to be that merger. Another big part is going to be the the dividend that gets announced or issued, or however they're doing that. And if it's one of those special shares, it's an IOU for when they finish selling off those assets, then that's something that can't be counterfeited by the short hedge funds. It will just be something in people's accounts, and those short hedge funds won't be able to cover their obligations for all the stocks they generated. So I'll be interested to see what happens Monday and Tuesday. I can't make any predictions. I don't know. I honestly don't know. So sorry, it's vague. That's where I am. I'm just waiting to see how this all unfolds. This is such weirdness. Like the last time I saw a merger happen like this was when Keurig and Dr. Pepper merged, and Dr. Pepper announced this like $103 dividend to all the shareholders. So the stock went because so everyone could get that dividend. But I don't think there's any squeezes going on because that $103 dividend got announced long before it was handed out. So I think you have to be an idiot of a hedge fund to short on that. But I think this short hedge funds might be gambling that the dividend isn't as extensive as we hope. That it might be under $1 or something, and that they can cover that out of pocket. But I think if they get to a couple of dollars, that's billions that they'll owe. So we'll see. Well, I honestly don't know what the price action is going to be on Monday and Tuesday. I think it's going to be messy as people are trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Yeah. Am I still low on volume? Or is that, yeah, like I can turn this gain up a little bit and see if that helps people. Does that work? Okay. The Torch 2-to-1 reverse stock split. Is this good or bad? I'm not sure how it's shaking out when they merge. So that's from Angela Torrenes. How they're rectifying all these metamaterial stocks in Canada going onto the NASDAQ and all the Torchlight stocks becoming metamaterial. I've read like 20 different things people say how it's going to happen, and I'm so confused as to exactly how it's. I thought I had an idea in my head of how that merger was going to shake out stock share wise, and now I don't know. So I have to wait and see exactly how it works out. Yeah. So okay. Let me scroll down and make sure that people aren't still complaining about the microphone. Microphone doing all right? I'm good? All right, cool. Perfect. Okay, back up to the top because so many questions are being asked. Monkey Wrench, hope he gives it back because the treasure hunt would be so much fun. Oh, that guy earned it, man. He absolutely earned. I was hoping it would take longer because if publicity builds and a lot of people are looking for the treasure, then you can take that entire box of treasure and sell the whole thing at auction, probably for a premium, more than what even the gemstones inside are worth, just for the tail. So he got it first, but I don't know. I think it's just the raw value of the treasure and not. And there's no legend attached to it now because it didn't last long enough for a legend. Okay. Any idea what happens to options in a merger like this? No. I don't know if those options turn into metamaterial options. Someone said that they think they just all get exercised as of today. But I didn't hear about anyone having their options exercised. So Jason, I don't know. Jason Albenzi, I don't know exactly how those options work. This is the first time I've owned stock in a company that got bought out. So people who've been on that side before, if they want to chime in. Can't stop, won't stop, GameStop. Ask Webull, they said one torch for one meta, and everyone should see it in their account once the DTC gives it to them. It's supposed to be today. Okay, so all that Torchlight should turn to meta sometime today. All right, that works. That makes sense to me. So, yeah, check your accounts and see what it's reading as. Matt Newton, happy birthday. Thanks for the content. So hard to hunt and work out. How does the Russell 1000 rebalance work after hours? The Russell 1000 bounce happens, I believe, Monday before open, right? That's when they list GameStop on it. And some people are saying that the percentage of GameStop in the Russell 1000 is going to be smaller than the percentage that was in the Russell 2000. So the Russell may need to sell off shares, and if that happens, they may need to recall a whole bunch of those shares that got shorted a couple weeks ago when they drove the price of GameStop down, and they shorted the Russell 2000 like 400% or something. And it's messy. There's a lot of micro shares in there that you have to fit back together to make those ETF work. So there may be some recalls on that. Plus, when they rebalance the Russell 1000, that causes all sorts of other index funds and ETFs to rebalance as well. And that, might cause a lot of recalls or a lot of buying pressure next week as they have to readjust those funds as well. I thought a lot of that would be happening this week. Those T21 FTDs should have been spiking on Thursday, but it didn't happen. So I thought there'd be a lot of anticipation as GME moves to Russell 1000 that we'd see more price action. I'm really curious to see the FTD reports when they come out in a couple weeks for this period of the month, to see what those numbers were, because I don't know how they're covering. The volume wasn't there all week to cover for that stuff. So this is from penis P13N5 PNs. Hey, my session for the treasure hunt was make it international through proxy fans in the countries to hide things wherever you want. Sorry you missed my chat. Yeah, it'd be fun to make it much more international. My roommate was saying I shouldn't have hit it all one spot, that it should be more like that National Treasure movie, or when somebody finds something, it's just another clue to another spot. So it drags on a little longer. That's a good idea. I really thought I was more clever than it turns out I was. That's well, expensive lessons to learn, I guess. We all have to learn our lessons somehow. Sometimes we do it the hard way. Okay. But thank you. All right. Sounds very No Country for Old Men. Oh. All right. Do you think Bitcoin is going, this is from Renegade Geniuses, do you think Bitcoin is going back to 10K? I personally believe 5K, as the recent dump and pump caused it to crash the low of 29. Now BTC is in the death cross. I wouldn't doubt if we see Bitcoin crash really hard. I mean, Ethereum lost 50% of its value. Bitcoin's now down 50% since its peak. It's very possible that we see it go lower, especially if and when these margin calls happen. I believe the first thing dumped are going to be crypto holdings. They're just going to dump them on the market because they can sell those at any time and don't have to wait for like auctions and markets to open to do that. So I think it's very possible that Bitcoin hits hard. I mean, it went from, well, its big peak a few years ago was like 1,400, then it dropped to 500. Then it went to 18,000, then it dropped to 3,000. Then it went to 60,000, and then I think now the lowest so far is 29. So we might see like some big drops in there. Cole Kelly, still holding tulip calls. Do you see the tulips making a comeback? Yeah, nice spike in the tulip market happening again. I could go for that. Yeah, sorry about your booty. Me too. My booty's gone forever. AJ, how's it going? It's going rough, AJ. but thanks for appreciating me. Um, Dis Soyoza. If I wanted to start prospecting, what advice would you give to a beginner? The best way to start prospecting is get a gold pan and a little shovel, and just go to a stream somewhere and see what you can find. It helps if you are near the mountains because gold comes from mountain ranges generally, uh, and that's a great way to start. You look at places where gold settles out. So generally, movement of gold in a river takes a lot of flow to happen in a river or stream, because gold will break off of these quartz veins and it'll be heavy, and so you need a lot of water pressure to make that thing tumble down river. And it'll tumble when like snow melts and there's lots of water flow during flash floods, things like that. There'll be lots of movement, and when the water calms down, the gold will settle the most easiest place it can, which is like in eddies. So if you have like a big boulder, before and after the boulder, there's a doldrum that happens where there's kind of like a little swirl of water pressure, and it doesn't allow a big flow as the water moves around it. So the gold will settle out right there. On bends of rivers, on the outside part of the bend, there's a lot of water pressure, so gold won't be there. But on the inside part of the bend, you'll have these like sandbars that form, and there's usually low pressure, and the gold will drop out in that. You look for places like that, and you start digging as deep as you can. And you want to, if you're lucky, you get deep down to the hard pan, the hard rock, and the bedrock, and you'll find lots of gold will settle out there. Because every time the rocks move and jiggle, the heavy things sink further, and the lighter things kind of rise to the top. And so the gold will keep sinking, and you look for that stuff. If you're on the coast, you look for black sands out on the coast, because especially in the wintertime when the big waves come in, the big waves will wash off the light sand off the beach, and then the heavy sands will be left in these bands somewhere near high tide. And those bands are full of magnetite, and the magnetite is heavier than the normal quartz sand that will be on top of it. And inside that magnetite, you'll find gold, you'll find heavy like sand size crystals of garnets and sapphires and even diamonds sometimes, like little micron sized ones. And then you'll find heavy minerals like gold and platinum group metals. In the Washington, Oregon coast, you can get tons of gold as well as platinum, palladium, and rhodium, all in those sands. So if you've got a good chance digging, you can do that. When it comes to gemstones, the gemstones are much more exacting, and you really have to know the geology you look for. So I recommend, my little library next to my desk here, you just get a lot of these rock hounding books for various states, and they won't have all the locations, but you'll start to learn what rocks to look for if you're going to go prospecting, what type of pegmatites to look for that might have sapphires in them, or plagioclase like sunstones, or really cool things like chrysoberyls, alexandrite, things like that. They'll form these pegmatites. Pegmatites are, if you imagine like a big giant lava plume coming up through the earth wanting to erupt, and then just kind of freezing in place. And when it freezes in place slowly over time, the mineralization, the crystals will start to form as that lava slows coolly over the course of years. And if you're lucky, that rock gets uplifted, all the top rock gets worn away, and then that hard pegmatite is exposed, and the crystals will start falling out. You can then mine your sapphires or emeralds or other stones out of the streams that come off that pegmatite, and find them in the streams. It's in a similar way you look for gold, and then work your way up to find where the host rock is. Diamonds form in these kimberlite pipes, and you can find them in streams as well if they run downstream from those. I've mined quite a bit out of streams in Wyoming and Colorado that way. But you can also look for the kimberlites just using Google Earth. They're all over the Rocky Mountains, especially Colorado north. You look for places like where it looks like there's like a weird field, like a circular field or a collection of circular fields in a mountain range that should be covered in trees. And the circular fields are the kimberlite pipes themselves. They weather a lot more easily than the granite around them, so they become this like rich soil and clay that trees can't really get a purchase in. So if a tree gets too tall, it just falls right over because the soil is so soft. But it's really rich, so you get lots of wildflowers in them. And if you dig deep enough, you should get to a blue clay layer, and that will tell you that you're in kimberlite, and that's how you know you have a good chance of finding diamonds in that stuff. So, hope I explained a bunch. Stephen Porter, thank you, Stephen. I'll hopefully do some shows on specific minerals this summer, so that people can learn how to find them. Every state has minerals of some kind, whether it's petrified stuff like opals and petrified wood, or if it's cool things like rubies or like emeralds in North Carolina, or aquamarine, or there's all sorts of stuff. Really rare ones. You got your Bix Bites in Utah and stuff. Okay. All right. Where did you put my steroids, Jimmy D? I used them all. Actually, my cat uses steroids because he has asthma. That's where all my steroids are. Okay. Blue Hefner, what happened to the Gamma Squeeze? Honestly, I don't know. I think we got short attacked out of one, or they realized no one's going to enforce those failure to delivers or something. I don't know. All right. Let's see here. Let's go to... Am I still coming through rather quiet? Oh, man. But people are saying it's all right. Maybe turn your volume up. I'm doing what I can on my end without blowing up people's eardrums. I'm either too loud or I'm too quiet. Okay. Weeble says they'll swap shares once DTC gives it to them. All right. Donna Hoder, why is your stalker stalking you? My stalker's stalking me because he's absolutely batshit. He's a serial stalker. I'm just one of many people he stalked over the years. He finds somebody and he just can't let him get him out of his mind. It started a few years ago when I was managing a community Facebook page, and he kept posting over and over again stalking and harassment of somebody else, and I was like, this guy's a weirdo. Delete. And I blocked him, and I became his next greatest love. That's why he stalks me, because I banned him from a community Facebook group that he saw as censorship, that I was censoring him from his constitutional right to make someone else's life a living hell. So that's why he stalks me. And he'd kind of lightened off, like backed off. But when my interview with Josh Hamilton of The Gist went viral back in April, he was like, I must stalk him more now. And that's where we are. That he posts about me thousands of times a day. It made a whole Reddit channel about me, subreddit about me. And, it is what it is. I mean, he's absolutely bonkers. He lives in a van in the woods. And I guess that's what you do if you live in a van in the woods. Joshua Surratt, thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat there. That's very kind. Very kind. I just need another 100,000 of those, and we might be good. Covered my losses on that treasure hunt. Okay. I think Sabby is shorting Fammy. Maybe. Diamond Hands Are Forever. If you know more, let them all know. Houston, this is from American Virtual. Houston, what causes the intraday yield changes on the 10-year notes, for example? How do bond yields change intraday other than futures? It's really interesting. I think there's a particular formula that they use, kind of like the formulas they do for options. You calculate, the volatility, the share price, the time till expiration, and it makes this calculation that sets a price for those futures. The bond yields depends on if you've got a fixed rate bond. If you have a fixed rate bond, then that just kind of means that your yield is whatever that fixed rate is. But then there's variable rates, which a lot of municipal bonds and government bonds work on. So as that rate changes, and I think as how close you are to the final yield of that bond, say it's a 10-year note and it's 3 years in, you've got 7 years left, so that price between what's already been realized and what could come changes. I'm not sure that I'll have to look up what the exact calculations are for that. I'm not sure, but that it's something along those lines. If there's a bond trader in here, by all means, correct me and help set American Virtual straight as to how that works. And right now, I think we might be seeing some scarcity in the availability of those bonds, and because the reverse repo got so gigantic, it may be kind of hard to repay some of those borrows of those bonds. So the futures might be a little out of whack coming up as a result. Okay. Well, a lot of people in here talking about FAMI. I'll have to look them up. I have not devoted any brain space to them yet. It gets hard to like focus on one stock. You're like, okay, I understand what's going on here, and someone else mentions one, and I got to go read something else, and it's taking up brain space. And right now, my brain space is full of, you idiot, you made that too easy to find. Cole Kelly, FTDs imply the existence of success to delivers. Can naked shorts lead to STDs? Asking for a friend. That's a kudos. That's a good one. I have to remember that one. Oh, shit happens when you party naked, man. Ty Bolak, how does the new DTC 005 work? Also, new NSC 005. I think the NSC 005 was the one that got delayed, right? And the DTC is the one that just got enacted. The DTC one, the teeth got taken out of it as far as I'm concerned. What they put in there was if you sell options, you need to have the shares to back those options, and those shares have to go into a certain account. And they must stay there and not be touched until either the options are exercised or the options expire out of the money. And then you can take those shares out of that account. If they're going to enforce, like how do they enforce it when we know that naked options are being sold and there are no shares to put into an account? Because the market makers do that all the time. So I'm not sure how the DTCC one actually gets enforced in any meaningful way. And then, excuse me, the NSCC one I think got pulled. And I was reading something yesterday that it might not come into effect for another month or so. It got pulled because there were some complaints during the comments, and they have to like review all that stuff if there's complaints. So yeah, so that's I'm not sure when the NSC one will come back and what it will look like when it does. So SM, if I have a question, if I hold crystals and chant Om, will I get special powers? I see people do this at psychedelic ceremonies. No. Rocks are rocks, man. The only way rocks can do anything energetically is if you put energy into them, and even then, it has to work in special ways, like solid state physics. You have a microprocessor that is a silica based microprocessor. It's pure on one side, and then you put imperfections on another, like little aluminum atoms intermixed into the crystal matrix. All of a sudden, you can make electron imbalances, and it'll pass energy back and forth. That's kind of how these computer chips work in the most basic. I took a solid state class 20 years ago and explained it to you way. But you know, when someone's like, "Oh, this selenite is great for water purity, so if you put it next to your sink, you'll have great energy," and that's not how that stuff works. No, it's great. A friend of mine went to Evergreen State College, and he talked about how every full moon, all the hippies would go put their crystals on the beach to recharge. It was cracking me up. I mean, if you have a beautiful piece of quartz, it's a beautiful piece of quartz, but it's not any different than that really bright window behind me. That's a piece of quartz. This jar, that's SiO2. That's a piece of quartz. I'm drinking water from it. Has it given me special powers? So far, no, has not. I'm waiting for the day it does give me special powers. Can Citadel get a SPAC company to buy out AMC and just make the short shares disappear, or cover the current price and avoid short squeeze or the MOAS? That'd be hard right now because 85% of AMC is owned by the public and not by institutions. So it's really hard to do a takeover if that's the case. They might be able to get a good chunk of shares to vote on the board for various things, but I think with how many shares of the float, how many shares in existence are owned by the public, that makes it particularly hard to do that. So yeah, I don't see that happening, Craig. There might be a way around that, but I don't see it happening. Okay. All right. Doge Gang. I have only 10 shares of Torch on Robinhood. At that, will I get divvies? You should, for each one of those, as long as you bought them before close on the 22nd. You should get whatever dividend or special share, whatever it is that they've got concocted for that. L, you need to always hide yourself via VPN. That's how they found you. They tracked you. I actually turned the GPS off when I went and hid it back in May. So I had no phone with me then. So I don't know how they found. Maybe someone from the NSA was tracking me via satellite or something. Yeah. Even then, like, you'd want them to make it wait a while, like, tease them a little bit. Can the government cap the squeeze price? I believe so. They can step in and halt trading and do stuff like that. Whether they will, I don't know. It might be so weird because 100 stocks all of a sudden are squeezing at the same time that the government goes, stop all trading altogether. But the government will be missing out on a huge windfall when it comes to taxes on these short-term investments. So I don't know. It's can they? Yes. Will they? I don't know. Okay, Joshua Surratt, can you explain the poem entirely? My mind is blown. He traveled that far with that confidence. All right, let me bring up the poem here. All right, if I can, I gotta click on this thing, and I can switch to. Actually, I have no idea how to share my screen. Okay, so west of Red Feathers, north of Calexico, and south of Twisp. Somewhere in between, you will find this. That's basically setting up that you just make a rectangle that goes from Twisp, Washington, across the north, Red Feathers Lakes in Colorado as far east, and Calexico, California as far south. And that's in that grid is where the treasure was hidden. Don't mill about because nearby the Triple Crown stakes are very high. There's an abandoned mill, the Belmont Mill, Belmont Stakes, Triple Crown Stakes. There you go. Head to the open range, explore and take your time, and then and only then take a peek inside. I hid it inside an abandoned old stove with a range on top. And how he found that, I don't know. Where wealth was once plundered makes men sit and wonder how deep does it bother, no shovels bring water. I mean, I didn't bury it. And it was in an old mining community. And then the middle verse, where it's this not easy, your breath will be wheezy, is basically a warning, like, if you're gonna hike out in the desert, in the mountains, and go do this stuff, make sure you're in physical shape to do it. And I didn't want people, like, heading out into the wild with no ability to go for a hike to try and find this thing. So that's the basis of that poem, and I had some cool anagrams and some ciphers planned and riddles. Someone asked if I could post all those. I might hold back on that because I will probably use it took me a long time to make the code for the cipher. So if I do another treasure hunt and I make it much harder, then I will probably reuse that cipher code, because it took me a couple of weeks to write it, and I don't want to just give it to you so that, you know, if I use it again, I have to come up with a whole new one. Yeah. So that hope that it explains it for you. I was trying to throw people off because I was going to have my buddy Dave in his YouTube channel where he's hiking the Triple Crown trails right now. He's doing the Appalachian Trail, the Continental Divide, the Pacific Crest Trail. I was going to have him do reveal a clue for everybody, and well, that's off the table now. But go to El Dangeroso's YouTube channel and watch his videos. They're hilarious. He's trying to hike these 3 grand trails all in 1 year, and it's funny. He's a funny dude, and yeah, excellent writer as well. So look for El Dangeroso on YouTube and watch his hiking videos. They're funny. Okay. Oh, my while I was talking, my chat's just reset. Okay. Thoughts and prayers. How do you throw a party for the solar system? You plan it. Ooh. Oh, the dad jokes. Okay. Big Buds. Oh, is there a statement on the Torchlight website? Yeah, pop that link up here if there is one. Lisa Young, I don't think it's going to matter. They will issue a special preferred stock, price to be determined after Torch sells their land. The hedge funds cannot issue a special preferred stock. Yeah, that's one of those things that they don't have the ability to counterfeit, and that could pose a squeeze in that case. And then all of a sudden, I don't know how that shakes out, because all those Torch shares become meta shares, and there just might be margin calls across the board to make up for it. Yeah. Looks like the shorts must cover by 6:30. Loan shares can't be carried over. Ah, okay. So if the merger goes through, they gotta to fulfill that obligation all around, close those positions. All right. Okay. Is the microphone still bad? All right, all right, I'm going to scroll down. Do I need to put the volume up, or do I need to put the volume down? Is that what you want? Let me know. Thumbs up for up, thumbs down for down. I will change the volume one way or the other. So my finger is on the gain button right now in my OBS software thing that may or may not work. But someone in chat, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Which way it should go. AJM AA is working. Adam Aaron is working with Hedgies, but now Centricus is getting merged with Pubco, a UK-based company. Oh, Centricus is getting merged. Oh, that's interesting. Thumbs up, turning it up. Okay, I am turning it up, folks. We will see how high it goes, and if it goes too high, how's that? Is that good? Is that good? Am I blasting people's skulls out of their head now? A lot of thumbs up, so I turned it up. Is that good? So that means it's good. Make my ears bleed, Daddy. Okay, sounds good. All right, perfect. Michael Stees, right now GME is in price about 4 times higher than AMC. Do you think the price of GME will also go 4 times higher during the squeeze? I think it's possible, simply because there's fewer shares of GME available, and if they're shorted in kind of similar amounts, there's less actual stocks available for them to close their positions. So that's been my theory from the get-go, simply based on the float, is that that GME will squeeze higher in the end. But if you got a whole bunch of AMC shares, it probably won't matter. Just get 4 times as many AMC shares and you're good to go, right? Okay. All right, let me scroll back up to where these questions are. Now we established that my volume is better now. Okay. I am drinking water from a jar because it's the biggest thing I have that I can drink water from. So that's what I use if I'm gonna do a whole show. Nil21981. Can you talk about Adam Aaron being in a SPAC owned by Citadel? People are calling it FUD. I think it's on their side. My impression is Adam Aaron is part of the Good Old Boy Network. He is a boomer who went to school, did his grad school with all these finance dudes who went off to other regions, and he's doing this job not because he cares about AMC, not because he cares about the squeeze, but he cares about his network, and his network is not us. We're not part of the network. I could be wrong about this, but the fact that when AMC sold shares to raise capital, which they have the right to do, and I have no problem with them raising capital while the stock is high and closing out debt. GME did it. GameStop did it. They raised themselves $1 billion now doing that, more than $1 billion, I think. And but GameStop sold the stock slowly over the course of weeks each time, so they didn't really affect the price much. And they sold that stock slowly to the market through the exchange to people like us who could buy it. What AMC did was the most recent number of shares sold when they did the 11.5 million. The day before, they amended their filing to say, hey, we're going to sell these shares via brokers to short hedge funds at a specific price so that they can close their short position. And that's sketchy. That's not what you do if you want to help your stock price and your investors in there. Then they sold a bunch to that specific hedge fund, at $60 or whatever, and that hedge fund just dumped it all like an hour later, back on the market when the price spiked. And just sell it to us. Like, we will buy 11.5 million shares. We've proven that every freaking day, no problem. Just sell it to us. We'll take care of it. There's no reason to help the short hedge funds that tried to drive your company out of existence. That's backwards. You're supposed to be in competition with these people, not helping them. But the problem is that people that work, this hedge fund over here once ran this company over here, and they may have worked together at one point, or you're both investors in another company, and this good old boy network becomes more powerful than the retail investors who believe in your company. And I think that's a problem that Adam Aaron has right now. That Ryan Cohen on the other side at GameStop, he's at war, and he wants to mess with these hedge funds as much as he can, and he is. And he's got the board full of people that are going to do that specifically. So I don't think the 11.5 million shares is enough to help close out positions so that the squeeze doesn't happen, but it delays the inevitable. And quit delaying the inevitable. Just let the sucker pop. That's what I say. And I voted no on the 25 million shares. Post it again after this thing is squeezed. Then ask us for 25 million shares to sell. Until then, no, I'm not. I don't care if you're waiting. If you say you're going to wait until 2022 to do it, you can ask again after the squeeze, and maybe they'll let you. Yep. There's another thing saying Torchlight released a thing on their website. So if they post a link in the chat, I can click on the statement. But if I spend my my time doing web searches on that's not the most fun thing for you to watch. A lot of people talk about Ferraris in here and Lamborghinis. Imagine getting a Ferrari not in red. If you're gonna get a Ferrari and it isn't in red, it better be in that really like hot yellow color. That's what I say. What's my Cash App? Houston Wade. $, Houston Wade. $, Houston Wade. That's my Cash App. I just put it in the chat. Kyle G, yeah, Twisp, Washington. I have 4 gold claims up in Twisp that I usually go to every August. It might be too brutally hot this year to go up there. I don't know, but usually it's a really nice time to stand in a river and dig for gold. Happy birthday again. Gilly, what 100 stocks will squeeze? I don't know all of them. There's probably, my guess is there'll be more than that will squeeze. Simply because of how many stocks on the OTC that there's just been billions of naked shares generated for those stocks. And it's just impossible to keep track of them all because these hedge funds have made just billions and billions and billions of dollars off of taking some small cap company and just obliterating it out of existence. These companies will have 1 million float and the stock trades at 400 million shares a day. So there may be a lot of them that pop that way. That's why I came up with my honeypot idea, and I need to talk to some of you. Maybe we can make it happen. We're a make company. We raised $2 million from ourselves and investors. We take $1 million, put it into some like Vanguard funds, so that it just generates $50,000 a year or whatever. And so each quarter we can say, hey, we made this much money, and it just looks paltry, right? You take another $1 million, you put that into a cash account. It just sits there and makes nominal interest in that cash account. And then you sell 1 million shares in the OTC at $1 each, and you raise a third $1 million. So now there's 1 million shares trading around as float, and you wait for the hedge funds to just drive that sucker into nothing. Wait a year or two, maybe 3 years. And each quarter, you're like, hey, their company made $12,000 this quarter, and the reports just look like garbage, like not going anywhere. Growth is minimal. There's not much there. And you take one of those $1 million that you have in a cash account, and when the price gets driven down to like 3/10,000ths of a dollar or something, just absolutely minuscule, you buy all the naked shares that have been out there, and you buy up millions and millions and millions, maybe billions of them, with that $1 million. And once you get enough of those naked shares that have been generated, they're sitting in your account, then you announce a $1 dividend for everybody who owns part of the float. So either the hedge funds have to pay you $1 a share for all those millions of shares that you bought, maybe billions, or the price will squeeze the stock price and you sell that stock for a fortune as they try to cover their positions. I have a feeling it's kind of what Torchlight ended up doing is something like that. So, it's, yeah, I think a honeypot. I mean, now I'm announcing it to the world twice now that they might be onto it. My honeypot LLC or something. Soli 69. What do you think the government will do with meme stocks if all these bubbles pop at the same time? Issue a fixed stipend per share? Worst case scenario? I think that's probably worst case scenario, is that they stop trading and they negotiate some sort of settlement at some price that the Federal Reserve feels like they can print at. Whether they'll do it or not, I don't know. And that's the big question. That's one of the gambles we're taking with this, is whether they will step in like that. I don't know. It's we'll find. I mean, the only way we'll find out is when it happens. So we can speculate all we want, but we'll see. Herbert Lee, what are Herkimer diamonds in New York? Herkimer diamonds are actually quartz crystals. They're just really, really beautifully clear quartz crystals. They're called diamonds because they come out of the ground like these softball-sized, beautiful clear diamonds, or beautiful clear crystals. But they're not actually diamonds. They're just called diamonds. It's a misnomer, but they're really cool. Herkimer. I would want to go to Herkimer and go crack some rocks open and find them. They remind me of Gulliver's Travels when he's digging through the mud. Was it with the Lilliputians? He's digging through the mud. He's becoming obsessed. No, it's the cave people. The cave people. Like they're not advanced because they're just so obsessed with digging out these crystals. The Herkimers look like the crystals from that. They're cool. Warren Francis, what happened with the 4 billion HYG puts? They all expired out of the money, and they did a spread. So they bought a whole bunch of calls and a whole bunch of puts, and was a wash for everyone, I think. But I still think they're gambling that there's going to be a hit. One of my friends is buying puts every single Monday for that Friday's expiration, and the way he's figuring is spend $100 on these puts every Monday, and do that for weeks on end, and then eventually the price will have to drop when the market takes a dump, and he'll get back way more than the hundreds of dollars he invested each Monday. Like that's, if you got the money to waste, that's a pretty clever plan. It's like buying lotto tickets that have way higher odds than the actual lottery. So yeah, I was like, I can't really find fault with that. I wonder if hedge funds are doing the same thing. If every week there's like, well, we'll just put a bunch of money into this, and it might be the week that everything takes a dump, and that's how we make a fortune off of it. Okay. All right. Oh, now people are telling me don't touch the volume. Okay. Phil Bird. Oh, Silver from Reddit. Yeah, hey man, how's it going? Have you seen the new rules DTC website hit this evening actually using the words market event and enforcing confidentiality? No, I have not seen that. I'll have to take a look. Interesting. Market event is one of those ominous terms, like, we are having a market event. Seems like something terrifying that you would hear. Mike Vlogs. Hey Houston, I bought more shares of Torch and a call option. I thought you said last time the shorts have to cover. Do they still have to cover? I think they do. Other people are saying that the short interest does not carry over in the merger when it changes names into metamaterial, and they have to cover. Plus, if they can't come up with that preferred share that's for the dividend, then they have failed in their obligation to provide an equivalent of the dividend, so they might get margin called there. So I think that there's gonna be weird stuff that happens with Torchlight. How it unfolds at this point, I don't know. It just seems so mind-boggling. Like, I bought them because I thought the dividend was gonna be like $1. So if I bought shares at under $1, I would double my money. And that was my entire, like, hey, 100% gains, why not? It didn't even occur to me that they would be in the weird position they are right now and be one of these meme stocks that everyone's talking about. So I don't know how it's going to work. I am as curious as everyone else to see exactly what happens and how the big players deal with all these naked shares that obviously got generated this week and probably before. Yeah. Okay. I can't wait until I stop calling them market makers. Me too, if G. I don't think market makers should exist in the way they are right now. It just sounds like, I don't know. It's like if all of a sudden all the big players in the stock market and the financial industries, gave themselves, I don't know, like, I'm a paladin +9. Like they're like playing Dungeons and Dragons or something. I'm a market maker +20. It's a weird term. Okay. Freddie Fredberger, do I ever come out the East Coast? Yes, it's been a while. I have my mom's entire side of the family all lives in western New Jersey along the Delaware River, and I do need to go out and pay them all visits. It's been a while. So I do come out back east. I'll have to see when I can do it again. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Still no dividend in the account, so it must not be issued yet. Still good. Where are some questions? Oh, people asking about Rocky Outcrop and Trade Spot, Jamie at Trade Spotting. I'll chat with him. I think Rocky Outcrop popped into the chat last live show. So yeah, I'll totally go on a show with them and talk about anything. Let's talk. I got time on my hands. The one thing I have to do is I have to design an online physics class that I have to teach starting on the 5th, and I don't know how to teach physics online really. So we're gonna find out. I gotta do that. Freddy Fredburger, New Jersey, gross. Come out this way. You should do a community meetup, rock dig event. Where are you, Freddy? Yeah, the East Coast is tiny, or at least the Northeast is tiny. Yeah, I would love to. My plan right now is get the war rig fixed and then sell the war rig, and get a short wheelbase camper of some kind, and then 4-wheel drive it. That's my plan. And when I do that, I want to spend a good chunk of my winter traveling and skiing, because I have an Icon pass for this year, and I can go all over the country and hit ski resorts everywhere. And I want to do that, so I'm probably going to do that for my winter. Especially if this stuff moons before then I can easily do that. Mupulin, let's say hypothetically, GME announces the crypto dividend today. How would you predict the next following months to play out? I expect them to get it short attacked like crazy, to drive the price down as low as possible, and then we might maybe see some covering. I don't know. I don't think we'd see margin calls until until the shorts can't deliver on the crypto. That's where you'd see the margin calls. But the only, and we've been in this for 6 months now, the only tactic the short hedge funds seem to use is the same one over and over and over again, which is short attack, drive the price down. And every time they short attack and drive the price down, we just buy more. And they dig a bigger hole. So you have to think about, like, what are they getting out of this? If they can't cover any of these positions and they dig a bigger and bigger hole each time, where's all that money going, right? Every time they sell these shares naked, they get a pile of cash. Where does that cash go? And at most, all I could think about is that cash goes from some short hedge fund account to some account in the Cayman Islands or the Bahamas or Aruba or the Canaries or something like that, and gets hidden offshore somewhere. And that way, when the margin calls happen, there's no money to be found. You can't really get anything out of us. You're just squeezing, blood from a rock. So my guess is, they short attack like crazy on the buy pressure that's coming from people who want that crypto dividend, and they just do that over and over again because that's all they've been doing in the first place. So, and then they get margin called, and then there's nothing left in their accounts for that margin call, and that's where we are. That's my prediction anyway. If and when they announce that crypto dividend, because we're 2 weeks away. When's it was July 14th. I kept thinking it was June 14th, but J months all are the same thing in my head. So July 14th it was the date on that NFT creation. So they'd have to announce before then, or would they announce after it's ready to go? I don't know. Okay. Warren Francis, what's the latest with the reverse repo market, and how do we see it playing out? Someone posted earlier the reverse repo market shrank. Went from like 800 billion to 770 billion. So that means somebody's getting out. Does that mean that they're getting out because they don't need the money, or are they getting out because like they want to get out before there's a squeeze on all these bonds? I'm not sure. The market is weirdly awash with cash, because what the Treasury Department is doing now is not necessarily treasuring bonds, but injecting cash into things. And there seems to be a lot of cash out there that I'm not sure what it's being used for or saved for or intended to be used for. But the corporate bonds are bonkers. They did a ridiculous amount of corporate bonds that were backed by the Feds, by the Fed buying, and the Fed announced that they're going to stop buying these corporate bonds. So there goes billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in cash that would be flowing through the market. So I'm not sure where it's all going from here. The banks that get out of the reverse repo market now will be in better shape, I think, than the ones that do it later, when there's fewer of these bonds available to buy and close out their positions. You must name it Honeypot LLC now. Eric R. I thought about registering that. The Honeypot Corporation. Honeypot Capital Management. Oh, no, that'd be funny. Okay. MMAT is really trading at, yeah, they're trading at like $16 yesterday. I'm not sure what it was on the Canadian market today. I didn't look, but it was pretty darn high. Which it makes sense if it splits 3 times and becomes $5 shares. That's right where Torch is trading. So that would make sense. If you bought those Torchlight shares 6 months ago at $1 or whatever it was, you are making a screaming deal right now because you can get 3 shares at $5 each if that's how it washes out. Moo Poolin. You are wonderful, Moo Poolin. Is it possible Wall Street has infinite corrupt money, meaning they can short ladder attack us indefinitely? So far, it seems to be the case. Because the United States, our regulators are either so corrupt or so inept, they aren't doing anything about this stuff. And until there's a specific rule that makes it that they can't naked sell anymore, they could do this stuff forever. And if it's the market makers doing it, the market makers never have to close out those positions as far as like failure to delivers are concerned. They just get away with it. And there needs to be a fundamental change, probably at the congressional level, to say no. We're removing this power from the market makers. The stock price is going to reflect supply and demand, and you can't flood the market with naked shares to drive the price down and relieve that buy pressure. So until we see something specifically come out about that, the market makers can get away with this stuff. I'm not sure how those market makers get margin called if they're allowed to do these things forever. Marcus Kelly, how about you grow the crystals in your printer? People ask about that if I move my head. The crystal kit that's behind me here. So I was dating a girl years ago, and she talked about how she always wanted a crystal kit as a kid and never got to do one. So I went and bought one, and for her birthday, and like a couple days before her birthday, she dumped me. So it's been sitting. It's moved to me like 5 houses now and just sits there. Maybe what I'll do is I'll do a video of the crystal growing. I'll do a crystal growing video this summer and time lapse it and stuff, and we will watch the crystals grow, and that will be a video on my channel. How's that sound? Thank you, Marcus. Yeah, thank you. Okay, Deplorable Gemini. That's a good name. Houston, man, about your prediction, if they don't have the money when margin call happens, what's that mean for us holding? That means whoever granted the margin to the hedge fund is now responsible for it. They are the first layer of redundancy. So if like when Archegos got called back in, when was that, March, February, whenever that happened, they had margin under Credit Suisse, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Nomura. I think I'm saying right, Nomura in Japan, like those big 4 investment banks. They may have had margins with brokerages and stuff too. But when they got margin called, those various investment banks were responsible for the loss. So they lost billions. Credit Suisse was like $5 billion that they had to pay out to cover the loss on that margin. So those investment banks are the ones that they're responsible when that margin call happens for closing those positions. Thing is that Archegos was one fund worth $30 billion. There are hundreds and hundreds of hedge funds that may have made this gamble all on margin, that these big investment banks and other banks and brokerages and others may have been lending to them on margin that they're going to be responsible for. So, if this chain reaction happens like a lot of us think, then we may see these investment banks just dry up overnight and just be tapped out, which, if the banks have a credit crunch because there's no cash in their accounts, then the purpose of the banks, which is generating access to credit for people and companies and municipalities and all this stuff, dries up as well, which means infrastructure doesn't get built. Schools don't have funding. Cars don't get purchased because there's no car loans. Credit cards stop getting issued, so consumer purchasing drops. Homes can't be purchased because you can't get a mortgage for homes because there's no cash for those mortgages. So that's a big risk. Is the fact that these banks might not have cash once these margin calls happen, and I'm sure that there's lots of talk and meetings between the Treasury, the Fed, and these big institutions for the possibility of this stuff happening. Because that credit crunch is really, really what stops liquidity flowing through the market, and the market needs that flow of capital so that stuff gets done and stuff gets bought. So, yeah, so what it means for us is we get the money from the banks until that runs out, and then we get the money from the clearinghouse until that runs out, and then we get the money from the Fed until that runs out, or they stop trading and they do some sort of settlement, and that's what we're stuck with. Ryan Bavata, where do you think Fen Treasure was in Yellowstone? Oh shoot, what's the name of the river? Madison River gets met by the river where all the geysers blast out, and it's a spot where Fen fished as a kid, and that was where his family went every year on vacation as they went fishing there, and it was found right by there. That's where I thought it was, and the person didn't give any more indications as to where it was other than it was along the Madison River or nearby. Yeah, so there was something in the poem about a blaze on the mountainside, and there was a site where there was the 89 fire in Yellowstone, and there also was a blaze of rock. So it was somewhere around there. That's where it was found. Okay, I wish I'd gone to Yellowstone at that time. The last time I went through, I was by Yellowstone, was during a snowy April, and the entrance to the park was closed, so I couldn't, and I wouldn't be able to find it anyways. It would be covered in snow. Okay. C-Chan, thinking of what to eat for dinner tonight, pepperoni pizza or curry? Curry is quite literally my middle name. I go with curry every time. Goat curry is my favorite meal in the entire world. I love Indian goat curry. I love Haitian and Jamaican goat curry. I can't decide if Jamaican or Haitian goat curry is my favorite. Those two, my brain melted the first time I had it. And if you ever have the chance to eat like a Caribbean goat curry, do it. It is the single greatest meal I've ever had. It rewrote the synapses in my brain, and right now I am drooling thinking about it, and there are no Caribbean places anywhere near me that sell that. That's one reason to go visit the East Coast, is that they've got Caribbean restaurants. Man, goat curry is so good. Go for that. I've got Indian curry. That works. I like myself good Indian curry. Okay. No, Orlando MIA. So, hey, Houston, I saw one of your older videos when you were talking about Sears Holding Corporation. I looked up the user you mentioned on Reddit. I couldn't find whether he says where he says each share is worth $17 billion. No, each share is worth $17. So at the time, the Sears penny stock, the holding company, the Q stock, was trading at 17 cents, and due to the amount of assets that Sears Holdings still has, means each share is worth $17 if they do a sell-off. Right now, I think it's at like 25 cents or something. Not 17 billion, 17 cents, $17, $17. That's where that is. Brandon Dale, thoughts on if GME will actually do something? Apes have been on this ride a long time, and yeah, there's speculation, but nothing in stone. You're right. It's taken time. If the government wants to help this thing squeeze, they need to do it in the next 5 months. Because if they don't, people will be at that 1 year mark for their investments, and they get way less stock, or way less taxes out of the sale of that stock than they do if you just sit on it for a long time, or if you sell it shortly. I think Ryan Cohen has things planned, but due to the nature of having to file for things, issue filings as an insider and as a corporate manager, I think that stuff just takes time for them to like, you can't really sneak up with it as we hope. Forever, ever. I'm Jamaican. I can send you a cookbook in the season. Oh, dude. Yummy. I would love it. I've been looking for like a really good Jamaican or Haitian restaurant in Seattle, and we just don't have it out here on the West Coast. I had really good Jamaican curry goat once in LA. There's a decent Jamaican population there, and there's a really good restaurant I went to. I don't remember the name of it now. It was years ago. But if there's food I talk about, it's curry goat, man. I will take it. I will take the seasoning. Yum, 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 yum. I turn this into a cooking channel in my horribly messy kitchen. Thank you. All right. Justin Thompson. What if they try to claim they've covered through Ortex reporting to scare us while they're still naked synthetics out there? Is that possible? That's exactly what they've been doing. They keep claiming they covered for months now, and it's obvious they haven't. They just have these deep calls that they bought and haven't exercised, and they're using that to mask their actual position. The original Rule 5 was going to make that pretty much impossible to do, that you had to exercise those puts and calls in order to cover your position. And then they took it back, rewrote it, and they left that part out. And so all of a sudden it didn't have the teeth that it once was going to have. Who knows? They may introduce that rule again. But right now that's exactly what they're doing, Justin. They're pretending like they're covering the stuff while issuing more naked shorts. And there was a time last week or 2 weeks ago when AMC got hit hard and the price got driven down, and Fintel was saying that Ortex was saying that the shorts had dropped the short interest by like 1.8%, and then a couple of days later those Ortex and Finra were saying no, they didn't actually close their position. What they did was they borrowed more shares and used those shares to pay off their older debts, but still short sold. So they're doing all sorts of shenanigans in there. We should just call hedge funds shenanigators or something. That's all they do. Nothing is above board. Nothing's ethical. None of what they're doing should be legit and probably allowed in other international exchanges. If you did this stuff in Germany, you'd be going to prison. There's no reason they should be allowed to do it in the United States. There shouldn't be all these loopholes for them to get away with this stuff. Okay. Justin, what do you think about the apartment in Miami sinking into the ground and collapsing? Do you think the big bomb detonated, causing a 3.9 quake? Have anything to do with it? I don't know about a bomb being detonated. There are sinkholes all over Florida. Buildings get consumed by them all the time. I just never heard of a high-rise being consumed that way. If you've seen images of it, it's freaky. That's the way Florida's built. Is that Florida is essentially an ancient coral reef, and so that coral is what limestone is. Like the dead coral is limestone. It's a mixture of the corals themselves, of the broken bits of the limestone sand that gets compressed and turned into this limestone rock. And if groundwater is acidic in any way, then that sulfuric acid will eat the limestone, and the water channels will form. And as the underground water channels form through that limestone and makes these giant holes, the ground weakens, and you can get all sorts of crazy sinkholes as a result. This stuff happens elsewhere in the country where there's lots of limestone. A few years ago at the Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky, one of the display rooms just collapsed overnight, into this like huge cavern, and all these priceless one of a kind Corvettes just like they're gone. They're just in the earth, and they had to like pull them out with cranes and stuff. I look up those pictures; they are wild. To see all these like awesome Corvettes just suddenly hundreds of feet underground, smashed to bits because there was a river that ran underneath the museum that no one knew about, or may have formed since the museum was created because of all that erosion of the moving water, plus the acid dissolving the limestone. It's fun too. If you have some like hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid, you can drop it in limestone rock and watch it sizzle. Okay, forever ever. What's going on with Torch? Trading starts on Monday on the new ticker. That's what we're all trying to figure out. We don't know. If that all those meta stock should dump on from the Canadian market into the DTCC, into their trading computer, and then everyone gets issued all that share as meta now that it's going to trade on the NASDAQ. I'm really curious to see how the stuff unfolds, because like if you're short on all this Torchlight stock, it's going to become you're being short on meta stock. And if the shares get recalled because of the merger, or get recalled because of this weird special dividend that's going out, and you get margin called, do you now have to give the meta stock in for that? I guess you have to give the meta stock because the Torch stock won't exist anymore. Yeah, I think Monday's going to be weird, personally. I think we'll be looking at it and going, huh, how about that? Okay, M.A. Campisi. Best coat curry on the planet, Lake Victoria Hotel, Etabe, Uganda. It is own style amazing. Check it out post MOAS. Ooh. I do have a dream of 4x4ing my way across Africa. I want to go and prospect and see all these crazy mines where all the stuff is, most of the minerals we use come from black markets out of Africa. I'm very curious in how it all works. I mean, I might die because I really want to like meet the warlords that transport a lot of this stuff. But I would love to go to Uganda. Victoria Hotel in Uganda. And I am writing this down right now. I don't want to forget that, because I will travel the world for a good goat curry. Victoria Hotel, Entebbe, Uganda. All right, noted. It's on the bucket list now. 3 places to go in the world for me. I want to go to Socotra Island off of Yemen. I want to finally sail down the Dalmatian coast in Croatia. And I'm going to 4x4 across Africa, specifically to go to the Victoria Hotel and eat myself some goat curry. There we go. Thank you. Okay. Bones DDS. I take it you must be a dentist? Working with them face bones? You are the true treasure, Houston. Try not to spend too much time worrying about your good-natured decisions. We appreciate your effort. Thank you, man. Thank you. Oh, treasure hunt. What a backfire. It's like the greatest backfire in history right there. Holy smokes. Mupulin, got any precious metal jokes? If you do, that would be gold. Oh my gosh. Do I have any precious metal jokes? I had some prospector jokes years ago. They're not coming to my head right now. All right, I'm gonna find some for you next live cast. I will do some precious metal jokes. I don't know. Well, see what kind of gold medals I can make out of those. Okay. SEC needs to freeze more Cayman Island accounts. Yes, they do. The SEC, I mean, the entire banking computer system was created by the U.S. government. We have the power to halt these accounts all over the world. If I had the magic wand, if I was president, in Senate, whatever, I would push to freeze every offshore account owned by an American. And I would have investigators look at those shell corporation games across the board and figure out who owns what and repatriate that money and tax the hell out of it and rebuild our infrastructure. because we can bitch and moan about oh, we got to do this infrastructure bill and it's going to cost 2 trillion. No, we want it to cost 1 trillion. We want to have green energy. No, green energy is fake. Let's just do it all, because A, it puts people to work. B, it improves the ability of the markets to move goods and people and information back and forth. And C, we have something to be proud of. I mean, to be great, you have to do great things. Let's do some great freaking things for once and use a bunch of rich people's stash cash to do it. Make them pay the price. They're the ones that benefit all this stuff anyway. The whole reason they're rich in the first place is that they use the roads we built. They use the workforce that was trained by the schools we built. Their goods go through the ports that are owned by the public. Their private jets fly back and forth from publicly owned airports. Their goods are tracked via GPS that was built with American tax dollars. The .coms are on the former ARPANET, which was created by the U.S. government and deregulated, became the internet. They know to protect their investments and shipping and things like that because they've got weather satellites showing us what the weather's going to be in places. And that's all paid for by our tax dollars. And the whole reason they're rich is because of the money the tax base paid to create this infrastructure in the first place. And now they're skirting the system and not paying their fair share by taking all this cash and throwing it offshore. So I will go on rants all day about that. Pay your fair share. The whole reason you live this life of luxury is because of the system that was put in place that allowed you to get that wealthy in the first place. There's no reason that you and I shouldn't demand that. They're filthy rich now. They'll be filthy rich after they pay their fair share. There's not going to be any change in that. Like, how many billions do you need that you'll never be able to spend in the first place? It's just a weird, I don't know. My whole reason I would love to be rich is so that I can bring all my friends and family along with me and make sure that they live comfortably too. And I don't know. Why have more money than you'll ever be able to spend? You can only own so many submarines, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Jimmy D. Could hedge fund testify to Congress to ditch covering? I don't know. The hedge funds, when they testified this past winter, straight up lied to Congress when they said they had closed their positions. So apparently you can lie to Congress and not face perjury charges. They established that. So they could say whatever they want to Congress, and Congress is their funds are usually paid by them. So, yeah. Hey Houston, AMC vote. How do they count for my shares? I have AMC shares in 3 different accounts: Charles Schwab, Webull, and E-Trade. I'm not sure if they count you as. It's from Janet Salazar. I'm not sure if they count you as one owner or 3 owners in that case. You have the same name and same social security number on all those accounts. So you might get counted as 1, or you might be counted as 3 when it comes to voting. Or they might be like, oh, this person also happens to be named Jeanette Salazar. I'm not sure. Because there's a lot of us, like you and I, same type of thing. I've got 3 different accounts that I own stuff in. If there's somebody who's on the board of a company that does this stuff and they know the insides of it, pop in the chat and tell us how that works. Okay. iTube, with sea level rising, that may be a problem during high tide. Saltwater floods lower South Beach streets. That's true. And with the acidification of the ocean water, it is destroying lots of seashells. Like here in Washington, one of the problems they have is that the baby oysters, their shells are so tiny and so vulnerable that the carbonic acid that forms inside the ocean from all the CO2 that's being sunk into the ocean from anthropogenic climate change, all the CO2 we're burning, is eating away the shells, and the little baby oysters die. So now the oyster farmers in Washington have all their baby oysters grown these farms elsewhere, like in Hawaii and stuff, where there isn't as much carbonic acid in the ocean. And until they get started to a certain size and then they get shipped back to Washington and dumped on our waters, well, they'll be able to survive the higher acidification in the ocean waters. So I think you might be right that these sinkholes could be forming because of the seawater intruding into the groundwater table and dissolving the limestone that's there. So that's a pretty good hypothesis. I agree with that. iTube. Okay. Mr. Joe Nada, I'm starting to feel down about the MOAS. Had high expectations this week. Worried they can short attack us forever. I think we're all kind of feeling that at the moment. Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, we're in it to win it, and that's, you know, at this point, I've made more money than I've invested, so I've won at a certain level. So if this is where it stays, then, you know, I came out on top, if not the amount I wanted. But it is a bit of a bummer that these short hedge funds can do the same thing over and over and over that should be illegal, and they still come out on top every week as a result, even though they're digging this hole deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. It is a big bummer, and it's stupid. It's stupid that our government allows this to happen. And they're going to pay the price ultimately when the bubbles all pop, because they are going to pop. They always do. It's not a matter of if, but when. So, yeah. Okay. Get it got Reddit. They say they covered, not closed. Oh, get it got. Welcome to the. Thank you for showing up. Yeah, covered is not closed. There's a difference there. Good point. Yeah, everyone get it got's awesome. So follow him on Reddit if you follow somebody. Okay. Rogue Death 98. Is it possible we are an entirely fraudulent system? Yes. I think that might be an understatement of the year. So much of the American financial market is like smoke and mirrors and not rooted in fundamentals right now, that it's fraud beget fraud beget fraud. I mean, just think about margins alone. Margins have doubled in the last year and a half, right? The amount of trading on margin has gone from like 400 billion to almost $1 trillion that's being traded and people are betting with. Margin for things like crypto are like 100 to 1. So for every dollar you have, these hedge funds can trade $100 they don't have. And you're not seeing gains that represent 100 to 1. You're not seeing the stock market go up twice as much in the last year and a half when as these margin trading built. You know, now they're extending margins to people like us, to schmucks like us, who they never would have before, but all of a sudden, with all these trading apps, we have access to margin we never did before. And we're trading with it too. And, you know, you can't have the obligations be 30 to 1, 50 to 1, 100 to 1, and not see realizations come out in the end that reflect that. That's not sustainable. And, you know, we saw those huge margin calls happen in the Taiwanese market last month, where, you know, their margins had gone up like 74%, and they lost 9% in their entire index, their entire exchange, because, you know, there was no there. They didn't there's no meat to their burger. It was all just bun, and they learned that lesson the hard way. And I think these foreign markets will be the first ones to start doing these margin calls, because they've got better, stricter enforcement of their markets than the U.S. does. The U.S. does a terrible job enforcing their markets. The only time the U.S. really does anything about it is when there's a small player that won't be too expensive for them to prosecute, that might sell $100,000 in naked shares and try to get away with it. They'll bust those guys, but they won't bust the guys that are selling trillions of dollars in naked shares. They won't do that. That's too expensive. So they'll bust a guy that steals money from rich people, but they won't bust someone who steals money from poor people. That's why Bernie Madoff went to prison. He was the only guy who went to prison during that entire market collapse in '08. Everyone else got away with it because they stole money from us, not from their rich friends. Okay. Houston, Matt Kors had an interview this week that was disturbing, saying the rich run the stock market with all manipulation and fraud. Do we have a chance with these new rules? I don't know, because they're the ones who make the rules. What we have to hope for is that there's a rich guy over here who hates this rich guy over here enough that he's willing to screw that guy. And I think that's what we might be counting on, is that to happen, or for this to run away from them to the point where they can't cover. They can't cover their obligations, and the whole system just collapses, and we just happen to come out as accidental winners in that case. So Jason, that's kind of, I think it might go, is they might have to do so much malfeasance for it to just collapse everything, and that's how it will trigger. I don't see how else that can happen. I honestly don't. Okay, it's 4:18. I'm gonna go like 12 more minutes. That worked to 4:30, and because I gotta eat some food. My stomach's demanding curry goat right now, and I don't have any for it, and it's a bad state to be in. Okay. Monopoly Finance Capital basically is from Mr. Jonata. Monopoly Finance Capital basically completely corrupt, abstract, and virtual, being used to destroy actual physical commodities and infrastructure. Exact opposite point of Industrial Revolution. Yeah, these guys make money by taking companies that make stuff and dismantling it and selling it off and making a quick buck. That's exactly how they do it. It's mind-boggling that we have a system that is so adept to making these black holes that we haven't fixed it yet. You are totally correct, Mr. Jonata. 100% high five, the saddest high five of all time. Is Citadel too big to fail? That's from Luke Malcolm. No. The other institutions that testified to Congress back in February and March, they specifically said Citadel is not too big to fail, that we will take over their market maker status day one. So they were putting in the mind of Congress that Citadel is not too big to fail, that they can cover them and take over their role in no time. Okay. Bulldog Trading, is it okay for us to come and visit you and bring some love and subscribers to your great channel? Come on by, man. Bring everyone. I welcome all. And even those I don't welcome, like my stalker, still show up constantly with new accounts. So they're everywhere. Come on by. Go for long walks with my dog. Chico666, if we don't get paid 5 millions, people will protest. They will raise a fit. Yeah. Okay. Is this is from Martino Paulos? Is Lou Fudd? Tell us please what you think. Is this Lou, the bald big guy from New York? I mean, he might sue me. I don't know, but he's weird. He's a weird dude. I don't understand what he's saying half the time. He says some really weird stuff, and seems kind of, I don't know, impulsive. Is that a good word to use? He's an impulsive fellow, and he gives me the willies. That's what I'll say. And I usually trust that gut feeling. When someone gives me the willies, I'm like, because something weird comes out about them later. And I just go with that feeling because I don't have the time to get to know someone on a deep level and trust them otherwise. So that's where I stand, and I'll leave it at that. I don't watch his channel because what I've seen on it I don't like. Okay. American Virtual's going to bed. Good night, man. Thank you so much for being one of the mods on here. I really appreciate it. Have a good night. Okay. Koti, I can never say your name right. Koti Paltoinen. Oh, you have to say it in my ear once for me to understand it. They counted 55 million votes. Could it be that GameStop didn't contest the results because if they issued 55 million crypto tokens, short hedge funds have to close all naked shorts after those 55 million because they can't be located. I don't know. I didn't see a vote total for GameStop yet. But that, if 40% of holders in GameStop are foreign, then that's 30 million votes that go uncounted, which is more than the float, or more than the total number of stocks. More votes than the float happened. That's something to pay attention to. But I think the crypto dividend, I still think the crypto dividend is absolutely diabolical. Josh Hamilton had a lady on, an economics professor the other week, who said the crypto dividend wasn't as diabolical as I thought it was, but she didn't really give a satisfactory answer as to her reasonings why it wouldn't be. I can't remember her name at the moment. If Josh is watching, he's probably asleep by now. Chime in. Yeah. Okay. Kevin Hall, fellow 8 from Seattle. It's hot as balls up here. Yeah, it's going to get a lot worse. It's going to be, 80 something today? It's going to be 109 to 111 on Monday, which is completely unheard of in Seattle. The highest temperature ever recorded is 103 in the Puget Sound area, and we're going to shatter that record. And I have no air conditioning. I've got the window open, the door open, the fan blowing. I am a sweaty little pig here. The dog's panting like crazy too. Yeah, I think in the news you're going to read about old people dropping dead in Seattle over the next week because the temperatures are going to be so bonkers compared to what, and no one has air conditioning, what these homes can handle. It's going to be nuts. So good luck to my fellow Puget Sounders and Seattleites. And Portland's going to be more awful. It's going to be like 120 in Portland. And they get way more humidity being next to the river there than we do next to the really cold ocean. So everyone cover yourselves in like cold, wet towels. Jordan K, I need a t-shirt that says my stomach is demanding curry goat right now. Yeah, let's do it. Oh no, my chat just reset again. You stinker. Where did the chat from Kevin go? Oh, there's okay. There's Citadel too big to fail. Joe Nada. Scroll down. Whoa, a bunch of deleted messages. Oh, it reset because a whole bunch of messages got deleted and vanished. Okay. That's why my whole screen vanished. All right. Oh goodness, a whole bunch of chats just disappeared here. It must have been bad, so my whole screen just reset. Oh, Ryan S. I wonder what Houston just said, that they don't like attacked with so many bots. I missed it. My mods are too good at what they do. I'm stuck talking and not reading the chat here, so I don't get to see. Yeah, what happened? I don't know. I missed it. Andre sent $2, but they got deleted. Sorry, Andre. I don't know what you said there, bud. Someone deleted that. Maybe are those being a little? Am I getting spammed like crazy? I'm sorry, man. Thank you for taking care of that. Yeah. Looks like they finally found me or something. Here we go. Mrs. Bulldog. Sending love from one trading family to another. Thank you, Mrs. Bulldog. I take it you have a bulldog? I hope so. Send photos. The bulldogs are hilarious. Okay. Got CCC. Oh, it's gotcha. I get it now. You ever get the feeling that they just don't care and are using us for pawns before they disappear in their luxury submarines for the extent of this statute of limitations? Yeah, that's exactly what I think they're doing. If you had the opportunity, let's face it, if you had the opportunity to make $1 billion in 3 months, take all that cash, stuff it offshore, and then just walk away from your obligations, declare bankruptcy and walk away, would you take it? I wouldn't be above that. I'll be honest. It would be very tempting. And I think that's exactly what they're doing. We need better banking laws. We need better trading laws. We need to make this short selling, this naked short selling illegal. So, until that happens, these people will do whatever they can get away with, and they're going to get away with it until, forever, unless we get enforced. Matt Newton, aren't we just on the sidelines watching the whales try to kill each other? Yeah, I think that's exactly where we are. We're just kind of sitting back, sipping, and waiting for the death blow from one side or the other. Here's some weird things. So George, what's his last name? The CEO of Metamaterials, George. He's Greek. Palakalakis. He turned down a $500 million buyout offer this week from some investment bank. He didn't name the investment bank. My guess is they realized how much short interest there actually was on Torchlight and Metamaterial and figured offering $500 million now is significantly cheaper than whatever margin they're going to have to cover later. I have the feeling that Metamaterial and Torchlight hashed this plan together sometime, when before or when they agreed to merge. They're like, hey, we've both been short attacked. Let's make the best of this. Let's screw them over. And I think that those guys are among those whales that are going to war. They're trying to kill each other. And last week I was flabbergasted when all of a sudden Torchlight started being mentioned as a squeeze, and then this dividend might be more bonkers than we think. And the fact that a company that wasn't worth $500 million 3 months ago just turned down a $500 million offer because their market cap is so large all of a sudden. I think there's something diabolical that those insiders at Torchlight and Metamaterials have concocted, and they're playing a game of chess that we have no idea that's going on. They're several moves ahead of us right now, and we're just kind of seeing the result. Lol, I look sunburned, from Geron P420. I am sunburned. I spent Wednesday. I had a lovely day Wednesday where I went on a long walk with a beautiful lady through Seattle, and I am torched to shit as a result. So yes, I am very sunburned right now. You can see my rosy cheeks here. Whoop, there it goes. Yeah, I'm sunburned. This beautiful new light that I have is letting me know it. Okay. Have you considered wearing a tracksuit? I have one somewhere from a costume I wore to a party. I wonder what I did with it. It might be in the costume box. It's a nice velour one. Okay. Okay. Better get portable AAC. Heat is dangerous. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, no one has any, and I don't have the right kind of windows for it. My window's all open like this, and there's no way for me to put a friggin' unit in there. I might have to get one where I unplug the dryer or something and stick it onto that. I don't know. But my plan is, my mother lives in a basement condo that stays at 60 degrees year round because she's a mole person. She lives under the earth. So Monkey Butt and I, when the temperatures start to get crazy this weekend, we're going to go sleep on her couch and stay cool, man. Okay. Whoop. Oh, great. My chat just reset again. Short interest, 63% WKHS. Is that a stock that's at 63%? That's a lot. Yeah. I don't know which one that refers to necessarily. Sorry. Can you talk about the ratio of silver to gold coming out of the ground and how that relates to gold-silver price ratio? Yeah. Silver is easier to find. Silver lodes are larger in general, and there's more of them. Gold lodes are harder to mine and rarer. And gold's perceived value comes from the fact that it is a noble metal, meaning you can invest in it, you can keep it, you can hold it, and it won't patina and it won't rust. Silver does patina and rust, and that makes it less valuable for long-term, thousands of years investment. And the way they form can be somewhat similar sometimes, depending on the load you find. A lot of silver is a result of volcanic rock that's rich in silver being in those lodes, whereas gold forms generally from fractures in the earth, where you have a fracture that forms, and all this hot groundwater gets forced up through the fracture, and that water can be thousands of degrees because it's under pressure, so it can't turn into steam. And if that water is thousands of degrees, it melts out all these minerals. It melts out quartz, it melts out lead, it melts out platinum group metals, gold, things like that have lower melting temperatures, and it will get forced up with this hot water that's being forced up, and the hot water will pop out as a hot spring at some point. And as the water travels up to the earth, it gets cooler and cooler because under less pressure. And at some point, these minerals will condense out. They'll freeze. And so you might find a layer where a whole bunch of gold freezes out. And then higher up might be lead. And then higher up it might be another metal as you get through different melting temperatures. And they eventually the quartz, the silica will fill that crack and fuse it shut. And that's where you get like these quartz veins you'll see in rocks. And if you're lucky, there's a spot somewhere along that exposed quartz vein after millions of years of uplift and erosion and stuff where gold will be falling into a river. And those prospectors, they go out with their pans and they prospect a river and they find gold flakes. And they move their way up the river until the gold flakes get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And when they get to a point where they find like a piece of quartz with gold stuck on it in their pan, they go, oh, somewhere around here is a gold vein. That gold vein might go under the river. It might be falling off a cliff next to the river, but it's somewhere nearby for the gold to still be mated to the matrix of that quartz that hasn't eroded off yet. And that's where, when they find it, that's where they make their lode claim. That's where they dig the giant hole into the side of a mountain and take out all the gold they can until it's gone. It's a pretty straightforward system for finding gold. It's just that there's so much less gold out there than there is silver, and that is the biggest reason for the price disparity. And these silver lodes, when you find them, they've got, so many millions and millions and millions of ounces of silver in there that ends up becoming a pretty easy way. Silver dissolves really easily in acids. So you can take the ore from silvers and you can just drop it into like nitric acid, and all the silver will dissolve out, and then you filter it, you get this cool blue liquid, and you just drop salt in it, like literally like non-iodized table salt in that sucker, and all of a sudden all the silver will percolate out, will precipitate out and become what's the exact chemical combination? It is a silver sulfide, I believe, that comes out. I might be wrong about that. I think about the chemistry. And then you take that mess and you put potassium, potassium chloride, potassium sulfate. There's another potassium based metal group you put in there, and that pulls off the I think it's a sulfide that bonds to the silver particles. That pulls that off, and they'll separate out, and then you just melt it in a kiln, and all of a sudden you've got pure silver. Pretty cool process. I have to remember exactly. It's been a while since I melted silver that way. Another idea for a video is I'll show you how you can like take scrap silver and turn it into silver bars. I'll do it with gold too. Don't worry. I got all sorts of. I melt computer chips and old watch bands, and I make gold out of it. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna try to do a couple more. I know I said to stop at 4:30. I'll try to do a couple more questions before I have to go eat. Seriously, my stupid chat just resets at the bottom constantly as I'm trying to go through this. Blue Hefner, how old are you, Wade? I turned 40 last month. Back in May. I am 40 years old. I look pretty darn good for 40, don't I? Yeah. I went to my high school reunion and I was like, you all look like shit. It's clean in body, dirty in mind. That's my method there. Okay. What did you go as for Halloween that required a tracksuit? I was a Miami Vice drug informant. Now, there's a couple of different versions of it. I did tracksuit one. I did one where I had the chest hair and the polyester shirt, linen pants, and gave myself a nice mustache. And I carried around aviators, gold chain, the works. And I carried around a big bag of powdered sugar, and I just made sure it was like all over my nose and face all night long. I thought it was pretty good joke. I had a really beautiful lady tell me that she really appreciates a good cocaine joke, and I think I just won the evening from that alone. Get real. Houston, is your gold mine full of gold or just an adit? My gold claims are on the Methow River and the Twisp River are where I have them, and they're alluvial claims. So you just go and mine the sand for the flakes of gold. I don't have any hard rock mining claims. That takes a level of investment that I'm not prepared to begin to start mining hard rock gold. And I mostly just use my gold claims to take friends up and teach them how to gold pan. So it used to be every August I would take whoever wanted to come meet me up in the North Cascades, and I'd teach you how to gold pan, and we'd camp and eat burgers and have a great time. The past couple of years, COVID put a stop to it last year. The past few years, the fires have been gnarly, and I didn't want to take people up into the forest when the fire risk was that high as it's been, and this year is probably going to be really bad. So if I do it, I may have to go find somewhere else to take my friends gold panning. I'm not sure. The fire risk in Washington might just be so gnarly this year that we can't do it. I hope not, because it's like my favorite week of the year is getting to go camping with my friends, and we haven't been able to do it the past few years, and it's really been a bummer. We used to go to the Twist Brewery and have great meals, and the brewery burned down in one of the fires a few years ago, so the brewery doesn't even exist anymore. It's such a bummer. Yeah, but that's what I use my gold claims for. My gem claims are what I've mined traditionally in the past to actually earn an income. Is I usually pick one of them and hire some locals to dig the dirt, put it into buckets for me. Then I classify the buckets in my garage and get the gems out and sell them. That's how my small time operations go. I flirted with trying to get investment into making a full blown diamond mine in Colorado. I haven't followed through on that yet, but I think that my diamond claims have enough that, some bank, Toronto Dominion or Goldman Sachs or someone would want to invest in that and make some American diamonds come to market. The last time there was a commercial diamond mine in the U.S. was the Kelsey Lake mine, which was from 1997 to 2003. And it was back when De Beers was super powerful, and De Beers just crushed them. There was lots of shady stuff that happened, sabotage of equipment, death threats, things like that. And by 2003, they just shut down the mine because they didn't want to risk their lives. But De Beers has since been crushed by the Canadian government, and the Canadians opened up their mines in Canada around the same time, and De Beers tried the same thing, and the Canadians were like, no, you don't. And a secret war of sorts happened between these De Beers secret agents and Canadian secret agents, and eventually the Canadians controlled their diamond market, and that weakened De Beers enough that Botswana was able to control the diamond market, that Australia was able to control the diamond market, and De Beers went from 90% of the diamond market, and they're at like 30% today of the diamond market. So that cartel got crushed that way. So it might be safe for me to open up a commercial diamond mine and not worry about weird secret agents trying to assassinate me and, taking family hostage or something to keep me from selling my diamonds on the market. Where was I going with that? I started out with a gold mine. I just kept talking. Okay. Fame. Have you been to the place in Arkansas where the public can look for diamonds? Yeah, Creator of Diamonds in Arkansas. That's a great little spot. They do a cool thing there. But there's way more diamonds to be found elsewhere in the country. The diamonds in Arkansas come from a different rock than normal. It's called a lamperite. A lamperite is a really, really rare cryptovolcanic rock that's like billion years old. And those rocks are where you get mostly fancy colored diamonds from, especially red diamonds. And no one knows how lamperite forms, but there's only like 12 lamperite outcrops known in the world. There's Crater Diamonds in Arkansas. There's a thing called, I think it's Black Butte in Wyoming. I didn't find diamonds there. I found tons of peridot. I have a plan on going back and you can do anthill mining really, really well there, where the ants will pull out all the rocks that are in their way and they leave them as a stack on their little anthills, and they'll pull out gemstones. So you let the ants do all the work, and you show up and just steal all the stones off their anthill. And I got like 9,000 carats in peridot when I went looking at Black Butte. I think it's Black Butte is what it's called. The big diamond lode in India was a lamproite lode as well. But yeah, the Crater Diamond is a cool little park. I think you can rent the equipment to sift and look for your diamonds there. But if you just go to Wyoming and Montana and Colorado and go on public land and find just as many diamonds or more, actually probably more, and as long as you get the setup for it, you need a grease plate. Look those up. Grease plate. Because diamonds stick, hydrophobic, and stick to grease. So you make this big flat metal table full of basically pig fat and Vaseline and Crisco. Mix it all together, and you suck the diamonds out of a river or a pond with a dredge, and it'll all flow over the grease plate, and the diamonds will stick to the grease. And at the end of the day, you scrape all the grease into a pan, fill it with water, and boil it, or pot, and it'll boil. And you let it cool, and all the grease rises to the top, and the diamonds are stuck on the bottom, and you just pour your diamonds out every night. It's a really cool system. We did, like, last time I did a big dig with my friends. We did 80 carats of diamonds in like 2 weeks, which paid for the trip, and us partying at Sturgis afterwards. Go to Sturgis too. Sturgis is a blast. Especially if you're under 60 years old, Sturgis is wonderful because there's lots of beautiful women and way too many fat old guys. Okay. I went off on a big tangent there. Is it bad that the London hedge fund got liquidated and closed? Do we lose overall shares and dilute the float if hedge funds slowly go under one at a time? Well, when those hedge funds go under, they get liquidated, and they've got to buy back shares to close the positions that they were in. So that you should see price action as a result of those. But the hedge fund that closed in London was like a $400 million hedge fund, and that's not the big time. The big time are the ones that have the billionaires in them, and those are the guys that have done the most mess up stuff. Yeah, Mike James makes a good point about if your fines are in the thousands and you made millions or billions off of it, you'll pay fines all day. It's just the cost of doing business. So, yeah. Bobby Pin, there's another YouTuber who has similar views as you on GME. He's pretty awesome. It blows my mind that two people have the same outlook on GME. His name's Marantz Rants. I'll have to check him out. I have not seen his channel. Marantz Rants. Okay. Hey, Marantz Rants and I can go eat some curry together. Okay. All right. Is there any big ones that I missed? Because I really need to go get some food now. I don't see any big questions here. All right. I think I'll bid you guys adieu for evening. I am due for some dinner. Thank you so much. I don't know if I'll get a chance to do a show this weekend. It's going to be so brutally hot. I won't be able to do it from the office. I'll have to take my laptop somewhere that's air conditioned and do one if I do. Maybe Sunday, if there's a chance. Monday should be sufficiently weird that I should probably do a live show just so we can kind of pick apart what weird stuff is going on, especially with Torchlight and with the Russell 1000 edition of GME. Yeah, so there we go. That's what I got for you. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night. I really appreciate it. You lifted my spirits after being completely demoralized and my treasure being found so quickly. The guy who found it, you are an absolute legend, and I want you to buy me dinner if you're out there. He said he's going to Great Basin National Park today, so he's probably not watching, but he's enjoying his vacation, his win. So, treasure hunt number 2. Well, maybe we'll do the Kickstarter and we'll make it fun for you guys. We'll see. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks so much. Okay.